We're talking about shopUpz today. It's a multi-channel inventory management solution. Let's start with the intro. I'm Shirley. I'm the co-founder and owner of the app, shopUpz Inventory. Currently, we're supporting between Shopify and Etsy stores. We help sellers to manage the inventory, if it's listings, orders, quantities between the stores. And today we're gonna talk about the overall marketplaces that we see, the trends, what types of sellers we support, how do we do export listings, what are the best practices, how we can track and what should be used. Also regarding overselling, it's super important. We're now at the peak season. We want to be able to make our customers happy. We don't want them to buy something that is out of stock. So we will go over quantity sync best practices and also order management. Okay, I just want to highlight each of our capabilities are optional. You don't have to turn everything on. Okay, so if you're looking only for order management and you don't need a quantity sync, so that's fine. You can select each of our capability to turn it on or off. Okay, so just a quick overview about existing market landscape. You can see here by SimilarWeb that Etsy is really one of the top marketplaces today. If Amazon has revenue of 390 billion USD from last year, we can see that Etsy is also the leading, and it had revenue last year of 1.7 billion. This is just to give you some kind of information about Etsy marketplace. Now, I know that obviously if you're in this session, you do have Etsy and Shopify. Just so you know, each of the marketplace that you will select, if it's Etsy and in the future Amazon, eBay, each of them has its own restrictions that you need to be aware of. There are cons and pros for every type of marketplace. We will talk about Etsy. So in Etsy, you do have the listings fees. Each of the listings that you will upload, it will cost you 20 cents for each item. And if you want to renew it, you would need to pay every 4 months. So this is an example. Each of marketplace will have its own requirements. Some of the listing, for example, on Shopify, you would want to publish one listing without variations. And on Etsy, you will decide to publish this listing with multiple variations or vice versa. Okay, each of the platforms that you're using has different way that it's best to publish the listings. Because their SEO is different when you're coming to Shopify. You need to go through, probably you will go through a Google search, and when you're searching on Etsy, you have Etsy advertisement and SEO rules. So there are some differences, and this is also applied when you will create the listing. Okay, we will talk about it when we will dive into the export listings. You also need, once you have more than one store to manage, so this is why you want to have inventory management, so you will not need to constantly update the same thing. If it's quantity, description, title, all of those, this is why inventory management is also a required solution for you. Order management as well. You would like to have one place to consolidate all of your orders, to understand what's going on in the system, what are the best sellers. So this is the way to manage everything. And also you will need to have the fulfillment process. Sometimes it's different when you're using Etsy and Shopify. You may want to keep them separated, or you may want to have it in the same funnel. Okay. So before you used our app or similar app, when you just started, then you used to update everything manually. either on Excel sheet or in other documents or papers. And once you started to grow, okay, and to expand to more places, then you needed to start using some kind of automated tool like our tool, that at the end you want it to automatically help you to sync quantities, export listings, and also have an order management. And this is what shopUpz is all about. This is what we're helping you to do. So now we will start talking about shopUpz, okay? Our mission is to set your Shopify store as the source of truth, okay? We understand that Shopify is really your store. It's a standalone store, not like Etsy, which is a marketplace, okay? Here, the contacts belong to you. The listings are also managed by you, okay? So it's more of your zone. This is why we see Shopify as the source of truth, and this is why we designed our app the way we designed it. So it will be easier for you to come to Shopify and find everything that you want. Okay, you will even see that when we created the app, okay, we don't want you even to come into our app. We want you to be able to see all the orders in Shopify, manage all of your listings in Shopify. So you will not need to start learning new solutions, new platforms, and manage all those type of platforms. This is why we embedded as much as we could our app inside Shopify, so the experience will be seamless for you. Okay, so once you will create new listing, you need to create them on Shopify, and then you can export them to Etsy via our wizard, okay, not vice versa. We don't provide the option to create the listing on Etsy. There is a free app that can help you to do the initial export from Etsy to Shopify. It's a free app that you can do it, but on a regular basis, after you will do the first time migration, the idea is that you will start creating your listings in Shopify, put the SKU, set the quantity, all the images and the relevant information in Shopify, and then you will do just 2-3 clicks and export them to Etsy. Okay, so SKUs. SKUs is very important element. Okay, this is what is SKU. SKU is basically the identifier of the listing. Okay, this is how we know how to sync the quantities. This is how we do the match between Etsy listings and variations and Shopify listings and variations. So this is why SKU are super important. I will also show you how you can validate that both of SKUs exist on both platforms and you don't have any typos and things like that. And then once you created the listing on Shopify, set the SKUs and quantity. Of course, you can also add images, title, description, and additional information. You can export the listings via our export listing wizard. And I will demonstrate it for you so you can see exactly step by step how it happens. Our app also provides bi-directional sync. Okay, we want you to avoid from overselling. So we listen to every change that happened on the listing. And when we see that this listing was updated just recently, then we will notify the other store and update the other store with the quantities. Okay, so this is how we are making sure that you will not oversell. And also, last thing that we do, we replicate new orders that come from Etsy into Shopify. Okay, again, this is optional. And then you can also update Etsy automatically once you will fulfill the order in Shopify. Okay, so listing is created on Etsy, we replicate it to Shopify, you're creating the labels, doing the fulfillment, all the process on Shopify. Once you will fulfill the order, we will update Etsy as fulfilled, so it can notify your client that order has been fulfilled with the tracking and everything. Okay, so those are the steps using our app. Create and export the listing from Shopify to Etsy. We provide bi-directional quantity sync and order sync. Okay, so export listing. Again, this way you can easily export all of your listings, okay? Usually you don't have just one or two listings. You may have thousands of listings with variations, and it's hard to do it manually on both solutions. This is why we allow you to export all of your listings at once from Shopify to Etsy. So, few things to note. Export listing. Again, SKUs. SKUs is the most important thing. We export listings that have SKUs. Okay. Either you may have a listing without variation, and then in Shopify you have a section of inventory where you can fill the SKU. Okay. The SKU, again, it's unique identifier. You can also reuse this SKU in a different listing, but we export a listing that their SKU doesn't exist on Etsy. Okay, this is something that is important to note. We're just creating new listings on Etsy. We don't update. If this listing already exists on Etsy, then and you want to make some changes like price, images, this is something that you will need to update Etsy manually. Okay, via our app, we help you to export new listings. So this is how SKU looks like on Shopify when you don't have variations. When you have variations, then you have this variant section where you can set the SKU per variation. Okay, and then once you put the SKUs and all the information that you want, like images, description, title, you can export it to Etsy. First thing that you need to do in order to make the export to happen, you need to go into Etsy. Okay, on your Etsy admin store, you're clicking on settings. What's important to know is that you need to create fixed shipping profile. Okay, fixed shipping profile, you're creating it like this, like you see here, and then you have a fixed price. Okay, and then you click save. Once you select all the options, just select fixed. Many times you will have calculated already on Etsy, so it's important to note for the export listing, you need to create fixed shipping profile. After the export, it doesn't matter. You don't have to keep it, the listing attached to this fixed shipping profile. You can change to whatever shipping profile that you want. It is needed just for the export. Okay. So if I will go to Etsy, I will go to the settings. You are clicking here on shipping settings. You can see here, oh sorry, let me share the tab. So you're clicking here on settings, and inside the settings on the shipping here, you will have the shipping settings. You're clicking on create profile. Here you can select the country and all the other information that you want to do. Okay, so it's just important to create here fixed price. Okay, so this is how you are setting the fixed shipping profile. Let me know if you have any questions so far regarding what we've seen. Okay, feel free to ask questions.
One thing I have,
yeah.
I'm sorry, David. One thing I wanted to ask, when I export new listings that I create in Shopify, I've noticed that it does not put them in the section where I need them to go because I sell beads and jewelry supply, craft and stuff. So I have to kind of do double work in the sense that it takes over the generic basic stuff, but then I have to go in and put in the keywords and all that kind of stuff. Is that ever going to be an upgrade where it kind of transfers over to Etsy?
Yeah, we can talk about the specifics later, and
Okay.
and I can show you how it works. So so this is how we can address it as well. I will now demonstrate. Okay, we can go one by one. Let me now show you how our export is working. Okay, I'm clicking here. I don't know if you can see. Okay, so you have Etsy category. Okay, and now you can select the category. And we also added, it's a new upgrade that we added the subcategory. Okay, you can select the subcategory. Shipping profile, this is the fixed shipping profile. And now you can select either Shopify listings or a specific listing by SKU, or you can select in the entire collection. Okay, you
Yeah,
may,
the subcategory wasn't there before, and I haven't
right.
exported. Yeah.
So this is what you were asking. You wanted the subcategory.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's done now. It's a new
Okay.
upgrade that we've done last week. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank
Yeah.
you.
We always keep upgrading. That's important for us. So if you have any other feedback, so please feel free to share it with us. So here you can select by SKU. I just created something for the webinar just to show it as an example. And once you selected it, you can also include or not include or exclude the tags. The tags, basically, the best practice is not to export the tags. Why? It's because Etsy has all kind of limitations that you don't have those limitations on Shopify. And if it helps you with SEO to find it on Google, okay, that it will land the end user into your Shopify listing. So you don't want to limit yourself on Shopify most times, okay?
Right.
So ideally, you don't want to export the tags. If you do have the option not to do that, so it's best to keep it separated and to uncheck this, so it will not include the tags in the export. Okay, I will talk about the specific limitations of Etsy requirements regarding the tags. Fixed quantity. This also Etsy requirement is that the total listing quantity has to be larger than 1 up to $9.99. Okay, so if you do have the number already set correctly between this quantity range, so you can disable it. If you don't have quantity, then you can just put here a fixed price, a fixed quantity, and do the export. And this is it. Now we're doing the export. We will click on export now. So it can take a few minutes. You can see here the progress bar. This is it. We just export once, so it went really fast. You can see here that it's a success. If we have an error, you will see here the rectangle with the warning sign. You're clicking here, and then you can see the error that this SKU already exists. Most time, those will be the errors. Either SKU already exists, or tags issues, or if quantity is 0 or above $9.99. So those will be the common errors that you will see. You would need just to click here on the listing, make the changes, and export it again. Okay. So now let's go back to the tabs here. So those are the limitations that we talked about. SKU, you have to set SKUs. Price has to be larger than 2 cents. Quantities between 1 to $9.99. Shipping profile has to be fixed. And tags, you can create on Etsy up to 13 tags. Okay. characters of each tag has to be up to 20 characters, and there are also constraints regarding the types of values that you can set inside the tags. This is what I'm saying. You don't have those limitations on Shopify. If it's important for your SEO, don't limit yourself. Keep it separated, and then you can just get the maximum value from each of the listings that you publish on Etsy and Shopify. Okay, so the demo, as you can see, we do have the category, the subcategory, shipping profile, and then you could have selected either specific SKU or the entire collection, and also regarding the specific tags and quantities, and then you just click on export now, and this is it. Okay, as we can see here on Etsy, okay, I will switch to Etsy again. You can see that this listing has been created on Etsy Draft. We never publish and we never delete the listing. It's always will be in the draft section. So you can decide if it's good enough for you, if you want to make some kind of adjustments. You can see here the description, the title, the images, the quantity, the SKU, all the relevant information is here. Okay. So let's go back to the deck. Okay, so basically it's important to not to assume that everything went successfully. The export usually, when you have a high volume of listings and variation that you want to export, may take between 10 to 30 minutes max. Always click on the sync history. Even if it's still running, you can take a look. We always update the sync history tab. You can see what's been exported, if it's been exported successfully, if there are any issues. If it's successfully exported, then you have the green checkbox. And if you have an error, then you will see this warning sign. Just click on the text, and then you will see the error message that is open. Okay, we also have instructions we provide here and also in our documentation the instructions of the error, and then you can go and resolve this issue. Okay, so this was export listings. Any questions so far regarding export listing before we will go to the quantity sync? Okay, perfect. So quantity sync. This is really super challenging topic for a lot of sellers because they need to manage all of their so many SKUs and making sure that keep track on it so they will not oversell. Again, we're trying to make it as easier as it can, so you don't need to start managing your quantities in another platform. And I will explain exactly how. So SKU is also our basic. You have to set SKUs to all of your listings and variation on both stores, on Shopify and on Etsy. Based on the SKUs, we know if we need to update it when order comes in, or if you update it manually, the quantity manually. Okay, so I wanted to highlight, okay, our update is bi-directional. What does it mean? It means that we listen to every change in the listing. If you uploaded new image, if you change the description, the title, the quantity, we listen to it and we mark this listing as the latest update listing. We update only the quantity on the other store. Okay, so even if you just went and added new image, we will know that this listing is the most updated listing, and we will go to the other store and we will update only the quantity. Okay, so we listen to all the change, but we update only the quantity. Okay, so this is the bi-directional thing. This is how our app works. There is also an important indicator of duplicate SKUs. What does it mean? It means that you may want to reuse this SKU in different listings. Let's say that on Etsy you have bestseller, and you also have November sales. So you want to publish this listing. It's a listing that you need to create twice on 2 different categories, but you still want to have the same SKU. This is what we call duplicate SKU. The SKU can be set on different listings, but not in the same listing. Okay, so you cannot use it on the same listing on different variation. You can just put it on different listings. And this is what we call duplicate SKU. And yes, we support it. So let's say that you have 2 listings with this SKU on Etsy and 1 listing with this SKU on Shopify. So once the SKU will be updated, the quantity will be updated either on Etsy or on Shopify, we will go over all of those SKUs in your store and we will update the quantity. Okay, so it's also bi-directional. We're looking at all of the SKUs that you have in the store. If you don't have SKU, you also have the option for us to ignore duplicate SKUs, although the best practice is always to enable the sync of the duplicate SKU. So another important thing to mention about quantity sync, Etsy allows you to create variations without providing SKU to each of the variations, okay? And in order for us to identify, you have to check it, both the SKU has to be set for each of the variation, and also the quantities has to be set to each of the variation, okay? So you cannot just put listing and variation without SKU. It will not work this way. You have to have the full table on Etsy with the listing and the full variations. Okay. Hope that this is clear. I can also share exactly Etsy so you can see how it looks like. Let me share it. Okay. So if you can see here, for example, you see here Etsy variation section. So you see that you have to set SKU and quantity to each of the variation. Okay, you have here the checkbox if you will remove it, so it will be also removed in the table. So you have always to check the quantities and the SKUs. Okay, so let's continue. Quantity sync, we do have the inventory tab inside of our app. This is like the first thing that you're landed on, where you can see all of your SKUs, and then you can see Etsy logo and Shopify logo. That tells you if this SKU exists either on Etsy or on Shopify or on both. If you will have this warning sign, it means that the SKU is missing. Like we see a listing, but this listing doesn't have SKU, okay? So you need to take a look and to assign SKU to this listing. Or you may see here several quantities, okay? Ideally it needs to be the same, but especially at the beginning when you're just installing the app, you will see here different number. That means that this SKU, it's a duplicate SKU. It exists multiple times on Shopify, and those are the quantities of this SKU. Okay, so this is what we call duplicate SKU. Again, it can also be the same on Etsy, where you're reusing the SKU multiple times. So once you will install the app, this is only one-time thing, what we're calling initial sync. Initial sync, it means that it's like, hi, congratulations, you installed the app. Now we know that you either used other apps, or you're just new on Shopify, or you're new on Etsy. And the goal is to align all of your SKUs with the right quantities, okay? So we provide 3 options. Once you will land, you will see initial sync, and that means that you may use Shopify and Etsy before. So we provide you bi-directional sync. That means that we will go over all of your Etsy and all of your Shopify listings, we will see what are the latest per listing, what is the latest updated, and we will update the other store. Okay, but if you used to use just Etsy, and Etsy is most updated store, so we allow you only the first time to select the option to override Shopify quantities. Or if you are new to Etsy and Shopify is the most updated, then you can override all of Etsy's SKUs, okay? And then you're clicking on Start Syncing. But before you click on it, please click on Export Quantities. This is how we are sending you a backup of everything that you now have on Etsy and Shopify. You can see all the SKUs with the quantities, and then you can, if there has been any kind of mistake or you're not sure about the option that you selected, then it's best to have this option. By the way, export quantities, it's recommended from time to time to export it. It will send you a CSV file of all of your SKUs. You can see Etsy and Shopify side by side. I will explain it also later on. It's the best practice to do it from time to time to make sure that everything is aligned. So this is the first initial thing. What are the common use cases? Okay, I'm always being asked how exactly does it work. So even if the order sync is not enabled, okay, and the new order is coming from Shopify, we are listening to the quantity update that happened on Shopify because new order was created, and we will update Etsy automatically. If order comes from Etsy, we will also listen to the quantity change and we will update Shopify. Or if you manually updated the quantity, we will update Etsy. And if you also updated Etsy, we will update Shopify. So those are the most common use cases where when we are updating the quantity. We do a lot of times. You may have played with the app or had another app and you're not sure. Usually it's the first time that you're using the app, so you will not be sure if the batch is enabled or not. So you have advanced settings. It's in our app. I will show it. It's in the left menu. You have advanced settings, and then you will have inventory settings section. So just please make sure that batch sync is enabled and also the duplicate is enabled. Okay, make sure that those two sections are enabled, and this is how you know that you're set and everything is running for you. Okay, so quantity sync, the tips and tricks. As I mentioned before, in our inventory tab, I will also show you exactly inside our app how it looks like. But in our inventory, you have export quantities. This is the CSV that will be sent to you. You can see here the title of the listing, the SKU of the listing. You can see Etsy quantity versus Shopify. And here, for example, you can see that this is duplicate because it appears twice on Shopify. And you can see if there are any differences, you can see here in the X. So it's very easy once you will get the CSV into your email, just look for the differences and then you can fix it, okay? It's good if you haven't used the app for some reason. If you want to take a look from time to time and see if you need to make any adjustment. You want to see if some listings are running out of stock or low in stock. So you can do all the relevant filters and also manage your quantity in a more flexible and easy way. Because CSV, they do have all kind of filters that you can create and it's easier to do it. Second is you have the reload new listing button. Okay, you will see it here in the app. Let me also click inside the app and show you Okay, so this is our app. You have the export quantities. You can click on it and it will say send the CSV to your email. And you have the reload new listing. Now, please don't click on reload new listing, okay? It's you only need to click on it when you're creating new SKUs and you want to see it here, okay? We're just creating a faster process to load this page. So when you creating new listings, we know about it, okay? You don't need to click on it, so we will know that you created new listings. But in order to see it in this page, if you create a new listing and you want to see it here, so click on reload listing. It's a heavy operation. So click on it just when new SKUs are created, either on Etsy and Shopify, and you want to be able to see it in this page, okay? Behind the scene, we always know what you're doing. We keep track when you're creating new listings. You don't have to come to here if you do want, so just click on it. For quantity update, you don't need to click on this listing. For any other update, you don't need to click on this button, just when new SKUs are being created. Okay, so this is the information regarding quantity sync. The best practices are the sync is bi-directional, as I mentioned. We listen to the latest listing that was updated. We update it automatically, but the best practice is really to go to update the quantities inside Shopify. Why? Because it's faster and it's easier for you to go over all of the quantities and update on Shopify. On Etsy, we need to go listing by listing, quantity by quantity. And here you have inventory tab. I can show you inside Shopify. What you have there is, 1 second, I will open it so you can see. In Shopify, you have an option to click on the inventory and see here the quantities and make a really fast update. And our app will listen to this change and will update Etsy automatically for you. Okay, so this is the best practice. I can now show you exactly how it looks like on Shopify. But also important thing to note is sold out, okay? Sold out is the only status where we cannot activate the listing automatically on Etsy, okay? So if the status is on sold out on Etsy, you need to go to Etsy and reactivate the listing manually, and we will update Shopify with the relevant stock automatically. So all the other listings that you have, update them on Shopify. Only sold out, you need to go into Etsy and make the changes. Okay. So next thing is order sync. Okay. So order sync is really our third capability. It is mainly good for print-on-demand sellers, and if you're working with external suppliers, or also if you're custom-made, but you have your own fulfillment process, like generating the labels and viewing reports and things like that. Okay, a lot of external suppliers and print-on-demand have integration with Shopify, and they don't have the integration that you need with Etsy. So this is why a lot of sellers want to replicate all of their orders from Etsy into Shopify, okay? So, and it also helps you to manage your orders in an efficient way. So, order sync, we replicate new and paid orders from Etsy to Shopify. Please note that it has to be new and paid. SKUs must be set. Again, our app works based on SKUs. Again, SKUs is our this is our identifier. So you have to set SKUs. Again, click on export quantities to make sure that all of your SKUs are aligned. Once the listing has been fulfilled on Shopify, we will update Etsy automatically. Okay, as you can see here, once order is created on Shopify, we're sending the Etsy receipt and also the Etsy order with the additional information, of course, of the order. We do have our orders page. As you can see here, you have the Etsy inventory integration. This is our app. And then you have the orders page. In the order page, it's like a tracing log where you can see what order came in through our app. Okay, this is the Etsy order ID. And then you can see if it has been transformed successfully or if it has the warning sign with the relevant information. Most times the issue is because the SKU does not exist. So Etsy has SKU, okay, or is missing with SKU, and this is why this SKU doesn't exist on Shopify. This is why we cannot create this order for you on Shopify. So just please make sure that all of your SKUs are aligned between the stores. Okay, so as I mentioned, our goal is that you will not need to start learning new apps. We're sending the orders directly into Shopify, and then you can see inside Shopify on the orders page, you can see all of our orders are tagged with Etsy. Okay, so when you're coming to the orders page, you can just filter based on tags with the value Etsy, and then you can see all our orders. Okay, just when you have any issues, you suddenly see that from some reason the order that came in Etsy was not replicated to Shopify, then you can come to our screen and see what is the reason. Okay, so what fields we're syncing? Okay, we're syncing the listings that were created with the SKU and with all the relevant information, the number, the quantity of the listing that's been purchased, the customer name, email, address, all the personalization attributes like gift message, buyer notes. In each listing, you also have on Etsy option to create a to add some kind of personalization field on a listing level. So we also export it. You can also we also export the Etsy subtotal and Etsy tax. Okay, just a small remark. You can also ask to not include Etsy tax when you're replicating the order. Okay, because we will not get into this now, but some countries has some kind of arrangement with Etsy, so you don't need, they're all already paying the tax and everything. So in some cases you will want to use it. It depends on the country that you're at. Just know that you have this option in case you need it. Okay, so once the order has been replicated into Etsy and you're fulfilling into Shopify, sorry, and you fulfilling it on Shopify, then you basically have three options. Okay, the first option is to set Etsy as fulfilled only once you're submitting your Shopify tracking number. Okay. Or you may say, I don't always have the tracking number on Shopify. Okay, so whenever I click on fulfill, please update Etsy as fulfilled. This is the second option that you see here. Or you have the third option where you say, no, I don't want to set Etsy as fulfilled. I will do it manually whenever I need to do it. It's on me. Okay, so you don't want the app to do it for you. So just you will know, this is our advanced settings page. Here, again, you can see if the batch is enabled. You will see that it's written enabled. This is how you know that the quantity sync is working. Other settings. So you have here also the tax that you can choose to ignore or not, depends on the country, based on the policy that you have with Etsy. So just so you know that you have this option. You also have the duplicate handling. This is the duplicate SKUs. Like, you can disable or enable. Best practice is always enable it. Okay, it means that if you have this SKU appears more than once in your store, if it's disabled, it's like ignore all the orders that has duplicate SKUs. Okay, it means that you want us to ignore orders with duplicate SKUs. Most time you will not want this capability. You do want us to do it, so please click on enable and save. Okay, so ideally duplicate always need to be enabled if you want this capability. If you want order or quantity sync, always enable the duplicate. And you also have the Etsy update. So this is it. Those are the topics. I hope that it was informative for you. Let me know if you have any questions that I can assist you with. Always available on the chat, via email. So thank you for your time. Any questions? Okay, perfect. So thank you very much. I enjoyed walking you through our app. So thank you and goodbye for now. Bye-bye.